A dog is a man's best friend. Obedient, loyal. Problem is, this isn't my dog. He belongs to the little girl next door. But he thinks he lives here. I guess he likes me better. Tyson. Hey. Time to go home, buddy. Yeah, say hi to YouTube. Say goodbye to YouTube. We're at our garage looking at the 2017 GMC Acadia. We also drove the Ford Explorer 4 weeks ago. We'll have a link for that video at the end of the Acadia test. I think the styling on this vehicle looks very nice. Unfortunately, this was delivered with black paint, which is almost impossible to keep clean. The nice shine lasted about 2 hours. If you live in Alaska or Hawaii, this won't be a problem, but for a desert environment like this black paint attracts heat like a magnet and is baking the interior like an oven. Frankly, I'm roasting alive even with the air conditioning on full blast. Of course, GM makes lots of other colors to choose from. I did like this beautiful tan interior, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll look at the cabin later. We're going to take these headlights out tonight and see how they perform. In fact, let's do that right now. I'd say it's dark enough. Let's see how these headlights perform. Here we have a wall 100 feet away. This is low beam. A decent spread, but the light seems a bit weak to me. Let's try high beam. Again, a good spread, but not very bright. In this case, we have a building 300 feet away. This is low beam. Barely reaches out there. Here are high beams. In all fairness, the beam does reach out on the building, but the light isn't the brightest I've ever seen, but it will do. Again, for city use, the low beams are more than adequate, but for high-speed highway driving or country back roads, you might want to plan on keeping the brights on as much as possible. The base engine is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder putting out 193 horsepower. We had the optional 3.6 liter V6 rated at 310 horsepower. It's hooked to an excellent 6-speed automatic transmission. It's also hooked up to an all-wheel drive system for maximum traction. So equipped, the fuel economy is listed at 18 miles per gallon in the city and 25 mpg on the highway, with an overall average of 20 mpg. We'll have the real-world fuel economy for you after we rack up a couple hundred miles on this rig. This is a well-designed modern cabin. There's room for 2 full-size adults in the second row seating. And of course, the seats do fold down for carrying large cargo objects. I'm told GM offers the Acadia with 3-row seating, but we didn't get that. Just 2 rows, but that's okay with me. We didn't need it. And there is more than sufficient room in the back, as you can see. The gauge cluster gives lots of useful information, but the way it's angled is kind of strange. It's angled right towards my belt buckle. You would think they would angle it up towards the driver's face. I don't know why they did this, perhaps to eliminate glare. Well, there's no glare, so if that's why they did it, it works. We get a nice large glove box. The console's not very large, but it will do for most objects. The climate controls are very easy to use. Simple knobs and buttons. Can't complain about that. Here we have the navigation, audio settings, weather, OnStar, all these settings right here. Pretty simple to use as well. Right below the shift knob, you have the terrain knob. It gives you front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive for the street, sport mode, all-wheel drive for the dirt, and the tow mode. Just make your selection and turn the knob. There are two minor complaints we had with this vehicle. Number one, the auto-dimming mirror doesn't have an off switch. So the only way to disconnect it is to put a piece of tape or chewing gum on the sensor hole here. A crude fix, but it works. And number two, if you start the car, you better have your seatbelt on first, otherwise you get this very loud, annoying chime. And yes, I know it's adjustable. This is at the lowest setting. It's still too loud. That's just the way it is. This particular Acadia came with the optional 20-inch wheels and tires. They do look great and they give extra ground clearance for off-roading. It's been my experience that large wheels like this can result in a rough ride, so we're going to take this out on the street and see if that's true in this case. We'll take these speed bumps around 25 miles per hour. Actually, we're doing 30 miles per hour now. Pretty smooth, I'm surprised. Well, here comes the nasty one. A lot smoother than I was expecting with these big wheels and tires. By the way, I've noticed that in certain angles of the sun, you see how the dash reflects into the windshield, which is very annoying. Not a deal breaker, just annoying. I'm told this power steering is electric rather than hydraulic, but it feels hydraulic. Good road feel, excellent response, I'm not complaining. This is the same basic V6 you find in the Chevy Camaro and Cadillac vehicles. It has more than adequate power. A nice firm brake response as well. This vehicle is a nice highway cruiser. The ride is a lot smoother than I thought it would be with these big wheels and tires. Yes, it is a bit on the firm side, and you do hear some thumping on ruts and bumps and potholes, but nothing to worry about. I stated earlier the fuel economy rating on this was 18 in the city, 25 on the highway with an average of 20. I got 17 in the city and 24 on the freeway. And in 250 miles of driving, I averaged 20.1. Not bad, really. Especially considering a lot of the acceleration tests we were doing. For those of you interested in the maximum fuel economy, here you go. 29.1 miles. Average speed 0.3 miles per hour, 28.4 mpg. I think that's the best we're ever going to see. The base price of a 4-cylinder Acadia runs around $29,000. This particular vehicle was loaded up with just about everything except the third row seating was $48,000. Wow. But it is a nice vehicle. If you're looking for a mid-size SUV, certainly worth checking out. If you'd like to see the review we did on the Ford Explorer, just click on this link right here.